Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast. Kindly sponsored by ACD&B, who are a branding and creative design agency based in Farsley, Leeds. They create standout brands. So for any companies out there that need a brand new logo or a brand refresh, just get in touch with ACD&B. Thank you as always to them for sponsoring us. We love them for their sponsorship of the podcast and for their production, for their design of the Lot 17A fanzine. We do still have issues of issue 2 of their fanzine available on our website. If you just Google the Lot Pod store, Lot Pod shop, that first link in Google, that's us, and all of our badges and the fanzine are available to buy there. So this is the mailbag after a bit of a break from kind of rugby league as a whole, really. We did the Super League Draft podcast, which is available to listen to and watch on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes, and however you listen to this podcast. We are going to speak about that shortly. Joining me as always, my right-hand man, our amazing Statman Reese. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Do I not count as draft man now, by the way? Like,
Statman.
Commissioner,
Statman,
draft
Draftman.
commissioner? Yeah.
I noticed,
commissioner.
I did, Commissioner Reese. I did notice, I listened to the Loose Forward podcast. Everybody should listen to the Loose Forward podcast because it's fantastic. And I listened to this week's, and I think it was Callum called you Statman Reese.
Did he actually? I need to listen to this week's, actually.
When he genuinely referred to you as Statman Reese. So I do think, Reese, it is now sticking, and you are Statman Reese. You're not just
right.
Reese.
Well, I'm gonna have to, I do listen to Loose Forward, actually, but I need to catch up on the last
It is brilliant. Loose Forward podcast. Everybody listen to it. So how are you?
Importantly,
you good?
I'm all right, but my question was, how are you? Because you won the draft.
I did. I did win the draft.
39% of the vote.
I've got an enormous head. If anyone that's seen me in real life, my head is massive, and I'm not being big-headed. But Reese, I did think my team was.
I thought you were going to do it. That back line was just ridiculous.
There was. I would have chose James Roby. I know we have a laugh, and I have a laugh saying he's 62, but I definitely would have chosen him and Cam. But the less said about that, the better.
I mean, you had the best halfback partnership, Brody Croft and Lewis. Then you had Field, Hanley, Newman, Hardacre, Makinson. And in that back line, it'd be good for England. I know, obviously, Field isn't English, but I mean, that actually would be an England back line. You take Field.
It'd beat England.
Field and Croft, like, make them change allegiance because you can do that in rugby league.
You can.
Yeah, I think I'll be all right with that.
I'm not being big-headed, but as we were going through the draft, I thought this is definitely the best team. I don't know but it's opinion, and thankfully
the majority was opinion of you.
God, I won the draft. So this is our mailbag podcast. We are predominantly a Leeds Rhinos podcast. We are Leeds Rhinos fans. This is it's kind of a any other business podcast. So if you are new to it, welcome. If you want to get in touch with us for next week's or for the next mailbag, you can. If you follow us on Twitter at Lot17A or at the Owl and Fleece, we're both on there. They're both the accounts for this podcast. You can DM us on there. You can leave comments. We always ask and request your feedback, thoughts, and opinions. Or you can email lot17a@outlook.com. The following people have been in touch with us this week. Where shall we start? Statman Reese.
We should probably start with the draft, actually.
We should.
Mainly, again, because it was my idea, and I did.
And you did a fantastic job, as always, in hosting it and doing all the database. Wouldn't have happened without you.
So the first comment, it's not a question, was from Ben, just saying that he loved the Super League Draft Pod. I was playing along at home. Is this going to be an annual event? I'm going to say yes on the success from this.
Yeah, I agree. And we for anyone that's new to this podcast, again, we have done one.
We did a Leeds Rhinos one. We did a Leeds Rhinos draft.
I think we've just done one.
Yeah.
I think. Go back and listen, everybody. We've definitely done a Leeds Rhinos one.
Yeah, because Duncan won it.
which was, let's put a bit more flesh on that bone for you. It was Super League players from Leeds Rhinos from the Super League era, and then there was 3 or 4 of us kind of putting our.
Which was a hard competition because after you got past the halfbacks of Rob, Danny, and Kev, you were left with Ryan Sheridan
Right, Sheridan, Luke
and
Gale,
Luke
Ben
Cale
Walker,
and
Andrew Dunneman.
what's his face? Robert Louis. Yeah. So yeah, it was. I found this. I think, to be honest, there was definitely a plethora of more choice in the
Yeah,
Super League because
this
it's a
was
bigger
easier.
database. I
This was
think we should
much
make
easier.
it maybe make it more people doing it,
Mm.
because that might make it that bit harder.
Or adapt the rules slightly, because, for instance, we've spoke about loads about doing an NRL draft. Now that would be ridiculous. Only in that the teams just wouldn't have a weak spot if we stuck to the same criterion rules that we have for the Super League. Do you know what I mean? The teams would just be there'd be no way you could find a weak spot, because you wouldn't care if someone chose Nathan Cleary and someone chose Cam Munster, because you'd just say, right, I'll take Sam Walker.
Yeah.
But no one will bat an eyelid. So we have, in terms of future ones, well, I think rolling forward we should definitely stick with the annual Super League draft. Maybe adapt it and try and make it a little tougher. Maybe add another person to try and filter and water down. Well, we're thinking out loud here.
Yeah.
But for anyone that hasn't listened previously to it, we have got a Leeds Rhinos one, so that's available to listen to on Spotify or iTunes as well. Good idea, though. I've lost it. Paula, we've got it now. These are all a bit about the draft. Paula, me and my hubby played along and critiqued as we watched the Super League draft podcast. Plenty of oohing and ahhing in some of the players not selected. I didn't feel anyone missed out. Someone
Paul
on Twitter
Vaughan was selected like 8th from the props. I'm like, he's the best prop in the league. I'm like, what?
And someone DM'd about Liam Farrell not being
Yes, they
selected
did.
at all. And I think there was another Wigan player someone mentioned. It might have been Ethan Havard. And someone else mentioned a Saints player who was really in form. But it's difficult, and I'm glad people played along. That's the idea.
Yeah.
You know, to choose one of the routes, in that when you listen back to them, choose my route or Jono's route, and say, right, that's me, and you kind of fill in that blank in between. But we've had some really nice feedback, and thank you to everybody.
Yeah, so just carrying on that vein, Michael said that the draft was absolutely class. Are you going to do another one? Which we've kind of already answered. And then Melissa said, really nice mix of guests on the Super League podcast, on the Super League draft. Feels like as an online community is growing slowly but surely. Nice job. Keep it up, gents. Actually, something we were talking about offline before we came on here, wasn't it? In that, as a Twitter community, rugby league Twitter community, rugby league fan community, it is growing, and it's. We were saying we're stronger as one. You know, we've been on Red Robins, we've been on Loose Forward. You know, it's really good fun to get involved with the other teams. But I think the more and more, you know, accounts and podcasts and stuff we get, the better, I think.
Well, I think it seems to me that, because Johnny, from Ramblings of a Saint podcast, he's new this year, I believe, to the podcast game, and it feels now like the more we all kind of entwine with each other and work together, I don't know, and the more popular we're all becoming together, I'm hoping that it's inspiring others to kind of jump in and do what we do, because we've said it loads, but there's so many gaps in the market in rugby league for this type of content, for fan-driven content. And just even since starting the Lot 17A page in 2018, I think it was, from that moment forward, the whole community and podcasts have grown so much. And I just hope that continues, because, like Reece said, there's a good community growing now, and working together can only be for the best. But all the podcasts are all worth listening to. The Red Robin podcast, that's Hull Catch, they're all still worth listening to, because the fan-driven content, and even if it isn't a team that you follow or support, I've always preferred fan criticism and fan analysis. Just in that, sometimes you listen to fans and they'll say things or their approach to a game, and they kind of come at it from an angle that I've never thought of, or that a pundit would never say. I've often listened to a rival podcast, for instance, and thought, "Oh yeah, I've never thought of viewing Leeds Rhinos like that," and it kind of opens your mind in terms of, because on Sky or not BT, BBC, they can only say so much. They can't have the passion and swear as much as a fan can.
Yeah, that was what Johnny said, wasn't he, before he came on? Can we swear on this? And then first thing Johnno's great went, I fucking hate the NFL.
What can hurt Jake Connor? What's next?
There's two questions from Lucas and Ryan regarding the Super League draft, regarding a certain player. I don't know if you've seen those questions on the list.
Yeah, it has to be an apology. I am wearing, as always, for anyone watching on YouTube, my Cam Smith Appreciation Society badge. I feel like I should throw that in the bin because, bit of a spoiler, but Cam somehow doesn't get selected in the Super League draft.
Well, you buggered it up because you'd pick 3 Reese Rhinos players, so you couldn't pick anyone else.
Because you filter through and you work out your picks. So you work out, right, you've got the first pick in this section, your third in this, blah, blah, blah. And because I think I was fourth.
I think you were last on the loose
or
forward.
Last on the loose forward. Now,
But
to people listen,
you couldn't do it anyway because you'd already picked your Rhinos players.
But because I was last on the loose forward, I thought Cam's going to go, so I need to pick Reece Martin. So I went in for Reece Martin, assuming stupidly, in hindsight, that one of the people were going to understand that is one of the best players in the league, and not one of them chose him.
No. And that was Ryan and Lucas in the questions, by the way, saying, Lucas was saying, how was Cam Smith not selected in the Super League draft? And Ryan said, a Super League draft on the lot pod with no Cameron Smith. And then the next bit is a word and a full stop, and a word full stop. It's, what the hell is going on? I couldn't do anything about it as commissioner. I was really annoyed about it. Yeah. So maybe next time we do the draft where we don't do it by position, we just do it. You've got to fill your 13 and you pick what you can then just pick 3 Reed Liners players from the off.
I think in future, I'll just bank on myself rather than adapt around what will happen. But I mean, Reece, how can they not choose him? I thought all the reasoning that they had I was just like, what? Garbage. That is so wrong.
Yeah, well, they're just behind the times. They're all fans of teams that just do, the run up 13, and they've not seen the light yet. They've not seen the ball playing. Although one did pick Jan Asiata, which is actually a very good pick. But anyway, let's move on from that because
let's move on to something.
Apparently there was an international at some point.
Yes, there was some rugby league being played recently. Not anyone would know. Freddie just says that England versus France debacle. Discuss. Reece, did you watch it? Did you even know what was happening?
I didn't watch it, which is quite bad because I'm a person that wants to grow. I'm a big fan of growing the international game. But when I saw that all the French players are pulling out, then all the England players started pulling out. I was pleased with people like Holroyd and Hanley that got games and stuff. Hanley played well and got loads of tries, but you're not going to grow the game by doing that game. And with the rules that I don't know what rules they had, but the amount of players that pulled out and the amount of England players that pulled out that are all playing in the squads this weekend as well is just a bit like, come on. It should be the pinnacle of your career to put an England shirt on, or Wales shirt, or France, or whatever. Like putting your shirt on for your country should be the biggest thing. And somehow rugby league's got it like completely backwards. That it's the international game's been so laid by the wayside that people don't bother about it, which I think is just poor.
Do it properly, or don't do it at all. Because
I think they're doing in the autumn.
In the autumn they are, but this mid-season thing, if you can't be asked, and let's be honest, that's all it was. They kind of looked at it and they went, no. actually, on second thoughts, we can't be bothered with this. And that's more damaging than not having the game at all. So you either go through with it 100% and everyone plays and everyone tries the best, or don't do it at all. I mean, in
Yeah.
the lead up to the game, was I interested? I don't think I was, if I'm honest. But having said that, if it was a full England side and a full French side, I probably would have watched it. Now, just in terms of watching it, I didn't know what channel it was on. I didn't know if it was on television at all. I didn't know what time the kickoff was. I did not see. Maybe that's just me. Maybe there's people listening to this. Maybe Rachel says something different. But I, the Lot Pod Twitter page that I'm the admin for is pure rugby league. I don't follow any other accounts on there, and yet I saw nothing to tell me what time, what channel, when I could watch it. Maybe that's just me, but when you look at the Six Nations, and I know the Six Nations and rugby union is, in terms of the international game, light years away from where rugby league is. I don't follow rugby union at all. I knew when England were playing. I don't know how or why. May have been adverts on the radio, may have been adverts in pubs or bars I'd been in, may have been the telly. But I went to work and corrected someone somehow on an England Six Nations game. They said something. I said, "Oh, actually, they play at this time," and yet that has been promoted to me somehow, and I knew that. But then I didn't know the rugby league. I didn't know what channel or anything. So do it properly to to give people a chance. Otherwise, don't bother. Is my opinion. And I hope to God, so I've got the Tongans coming over in a historic Test series later in the year. Jesus Christ, I hope to God they promote the hell out of that.
We've got a question about that actually, so it's probably worth just jumping to that actually, because Zach said so happy, some happy with the announcement of the England versus Tonga later in the year, some not happy with the locations. I think that having the games in full stadiums is best for everyone involved. I bought a ticket for that England Tonga game at Headingley as soon as it came out.
Mm.
I was so happy with that. I thought, right, this is exactly what we needed. I'm pleased that Tonga are coming over. They're a good side. They'll contest England, and that is good for England in terms of development on the international stage. And what was it? Huddersfield, Leeds, and Warrington, was it, or somewhere else? Where was it? I can't remember the three stadiums now.
Huddersfield, Leeds, and Saints.
Saints. I mean, I think they should have probably done one in Hull instead of Huddersfield. You got one in, you could have had one in East Yorkshire, one in West Yorkshire, and one in Liverpool or Manchester, what you want to call it. But I think it's a really good. I was excited about that, so that I do hope, like you, I hope they promote it. But I was excited by that international, so I bought a ticket straight away.
Well, it's historic, and like Zach says, some are happy and some are not happy. Just we are rugby league fans. You are allowed to be happy. You can say, "Wow, that's great." Let's look at it from the bigger picture. Would be my advice. We're getting a historic tour in Tonga side.
A team that's beaten Great Britain and Australia in recent years.
Exactly. Let's look at it that way. Let's not look at it from an angle of, oh, well, we're only playing here and we're only playing there. Now, bear in mind, I'm a massive expansionist, but I'm looking at it as Tonga coming over. That to me is the angle, not to where it's been played or whether it's full stadia. Now, those games will sell out. Make no mistake. Those three stadiums, like Reese has jumped in and bought tickets instantly, they will sell out. There'll be sellout stadiums. Let's look at the bigger picture and say Tonga are here. Let's have more of that rather than, oh, well, why aren't they playing X, Y, or Z?
And it'll be a strong Tonga side as well. It's not going to be
exactly. And I mean,
it's out of the NRL season. It's in the international whatever window you call it. It will be a bloody good Tongan side as well.
They'll be well up for it. There won't be any Tongan players dropping out of that.
Nope.
The first historic Tongan tour. I mean, I reckon they could.
It would be a great contest.
probably going to go down to the last test.
It'll
I
be a
reckon.
2-1. It'll be a 2-1. I can't
It'll
see it being a
finish.
wipeout.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, Tonga have gotten stronger and stronger since 2017. And again, I hope they're televised. I hope they're televised
It will be. It has to be.
on Channel 4 or on the BBC so they can get the biggest viewing figures and eyes on that. But for me, Zach, the bigger picture is getting Tonga here is
We should be
that's
getting
the
excited
angle.
about it.
Yeah, that's what we
getting
should be
excited.
celebrating, not like where the stadium are. Right, what's next?
Dylan's question is next.
Yeah. A press conference held a local builders merchant. It's so rugby league. I found it pretty beautiful. I did.
Right. It wasn't a local, it was a national. It was a national company. Like, let's put it slightly into context. It's Selco, was it?
Selco.
I mean, they are a big company. So the actual brand name was actually not a bad. It's a really good sponsor because
I don't think that's the issue. Selco
I know, but this is what annoys me about it. Like, people were looking at the warehouse in Warrington, which, admittedly, if I'm head of marketing, I'm not choosing that. But I don't know where else you're going to do it because it's
anywhere, Reese.
But it's a big name, and then in a world where sport betting brands are going to have to stop sponsoring sport, you know, you're going to need a big name. Like, I mean, I don't Selco Super League doesn't sound right, but it's a bigger name than we've been able to attract before, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think if they'd have done it,
but it was poetically rugby league, though.
It was
like, absolutely poetic.
I agree. Who said that? Sorry, was it
Ryan?
Dylan, you are absolutely on the money. It was one of those where when I saw that tweet about it happening, I was just like, of course. How
you could have wrote it as a joke. Like,
yeah, how poetically accurate. It would be something that you'd see Andrew Foster tweet, wouldn't it? Like, you know, they might as well do it in back of a warehouse in Warrington. It's an Andrew Foster tweet. It's a truth talking Maverick tweet. It is.
Yeah,
and then when I saw it, that is so perfect. And I really no issue with Selco. That is a big brand sponsor, and I'm happy for them. But like Reese says, you take Selco and you plaster it everywhere. Posters, advertisements, have the players wear Selco t-shirts, but just hold the event somewhere else. Hold it at a local rugby league club in Warrington, a youth club or something, and plaster it all in Selco and say, right, we're here where, I don't know, a local Warrington player played his youth game. And people would have gone, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I just
got everywhere.
But like, it sounds even random. But you could have Micheletsky and Tom Allroyd building a clubhouse at a local amateur pitch.
Yeah, have them with some
with all the wood and hammers and the hard hats.
A picture or a video, that's fine. It's so close to being really good, but having it in the back of a Selco, no, not for me. But so perfect and something that'll be looked back on for years to come to be like,
want to celebrate.
Yeah, can you remember that time?
Next question's from Louise. It's referencing the England-France game. In that, what are your thoughts on Tyler Dupree's comments on this time at the Rhinos? It sounded like we just cut him loose and left him high and dry.
What did you make of it, Reese? Did you see the comments?
It did, and it made me think, what would we have been like if we had him in that side last year when we were saying we had a lack of forwards and lack of props? I don't think we'd have been complaining as much if Tyler Dupree was in that side. It didn't sound a good like an Agar, though, did it? Those comments.
It didn't, but I'm not bothered about that. Oh, and if I'm being brutally honest, I'm not bothered about Tyler Dupree's
fair enough
thoughts on it, because how many youngsters get cut from clubs, and it is brutal. There's no way a club can say to a youngster, you're not good enough. There's no nice way of putting it. And we don't hear of any of those stories, and they just kind of fall away or go into lower leagues and kind of fall off. But in terms of Tyler, I would say to him, come back. Prove us wrong.
Prove us wrong.
You're clearly a good player, England international. Come back.
I mean, if we're gonna
If it hurt you that much, come back. We'll have you back.
if we're gonna do this, he has made more meters than any Rees Rhinos prop.
Yeah, that's
So he's made 855. His average carry is 7.2. He's made 4 clean breaks, which is the highest of any prop. Our nearest prop to him in meters. So what's he done? Sorry,
Holroyd.
No,
Huh?
Tetevano.
No way.
Tetevano's our highest carrying prop.
Yeah, but he's been playing second row.
Yeah. But yeah. So he has got good numbers in the carries as well. He doesn't tackle that much though, compared to other props. But yeah.
if fair enough, that's his story. You know, and it's fair to say that. But I saw the angle from other youth players who get cut, and it's never nice. But it does sound a bit upset about it. Come back.
Yeah,
we'd have you back. Don't worry about that. And I'm sure he'd come back. So, I mean, I was kind of thinking like, I'm not sure of his contract details, but it could be. Let's swap him. If Sam Walters is leaving and he is going,
I don't think Dupree's out this year. I don't think.
I'm going to say let's bring him. Let's bring him in. But yeah, a good player and one that I'd have back in a heartbeat. I think we all would listen to this. I think we'd all take him back. But let's be honest. It's incredibly rare that a player leaves Leeds and you want them back. There haven't been many. I know Luke Gale came back, but I think that's just because where we were as a squad. But there isn't many that leave us that we think, ooh, they've got away. Could happen more. Now we're out of the golden generation, but I think Dupree and his form's one of those. Good player. Yeah. Come back, Tyler. Come back. I'll have you on the podcast. Is it competition time?
It is.
We have a competition to announce.
Probably the best competition we've ever got to announce.
And we probably should have announced this at the start of the podcast, but I forgot. We do have a competition. It is for 2 tickets to the Kevin Sinfield event about his new book, The Extra Mile, on the 25th of May at Headingley. Would you, Reese, like to win 2 tickets to Headingley?
I'm entering. I mean, if I win, it looks a bit dodgy, but I am entering.
If you want to win 2 tickets to the event hosted by Rob Oates in the Howard Suite at Headingley on the 25th of May at 6:30, it's Kevin in conversation with Rob, all about his career, promoting his new book, The Extra Mile. Here are the details on how to enter the competition. We are giving away 2 lucky winners the chance to attend a special event with Kevin Sinfield in Leeds for his book promotion, The Extra Mile. To enter, post on your social media about what Kevin Sinfield means to you using the hashtag The Extra Mile. So that's hashtag The Extra Mile. Or you can email cornerstonepublicity@penguinrandomhouse.co.uk with your name and a screenshot of your post. So sorry, you need to do the post on your social media, be that Instagram, Snapchat, or whatever you use, Twitter. You then need to email cornerstonepublicity@penguinrandomhouse.co.uk. Don't worry, we are going to tweet these details as well, with your name and a screenshot of your social media post. Make sure you put LotPod times, that's an X, Kevin Sinfield competition in the subject of the email. So don't worry, we will tweet all these details out so you can follow it and enter as well online. The winner will be chosen at random. The competition ends at 11:59 on the 10th of May. By entering this competition, you are agreeing to share your name and email address with Penguin Random House for the purposes of receiving your tickets, should you win. Once you have received your tickets, should you win, all your personal information will be deleted as per Penguin's privacy policy. This competition, unfortunately, is only open to UK residents only. So again, we will tweet all these details out, but it is for 2 tickets to the Kevin Sinfield event at Headingley for the extra mile in conversation with Rob Oates on the 25th of May at 6:30 p.m. Not a bad competition, that, Reese.
It's not. It's a big thanks to Penguin for asking us to publicise that as well. Just remember to put in the subject line the lot pod bit, otherwise you won't be entering our competition, and you
That's
might not
right.
win.
You've been to someone else's, but we'll tweet the details and all listen back, and you can enter. And I'm going to be honest, I'm entering.
Yeah, I was trying to think. What's your favourite Kevin
I'm
Sinfield
entering.
moment?
It's random. It would
What's
be weird if we won.
yeah?
If
What?
if we win, we'll have to give them away again. Another competition.
Just put one on the
Reese is
slide.
like, no chance. So that's thank you to Penguin, and thank you especially to the Rhinos, because the Rhinos got this information, got this opportunity to give away these tickets, and they've kind of passed Penguin our details. So that's nice for the Leeds to for the Rhinos direct to kind of keep us in their thoughts. So as I said, we will tweet out the details for the competition, but you can also rewind this and listen back. On to more dreadful affairs
Yeah, to the team on the other side of Leeds.
that we can't
That
stand.
I've been actively avoiding questions on, so I'm really sorry. But if you have been putting questions about this team in the podcast, in the mailbag, I have been asking Eddie to avoid them because I've not wanted to talk about it. But
Agreed.
I feel like we have to.
We have to address the elephant in the room, and it's now time, everybody, for those with heart conditions, those who suffer with anxiety, just to take a moment. We are going to be speaking about Leeds United, so if you need to skip this or pause and kind of take a moment, take a break, grab a stiff drink or a coffee or lie down, because we are going to be talking about Leeds United, because I think we've got 5 questions on Leeds United. It has been a real topic of discussion this week, and I think mailbag listeners are kind of familiar that we are also Leeds United fans. That's the disclaimer warning out there.
Now. My family are from North Wales. They're from Mull. They support Wrexham. At the moment, I'm choosing to watch Wrexham over anyone else.
Fire away, Reese. The first Leeds United question.
So, first one is from Dave saying, "What are your thoughts on the Leeds players walking out of the hotel and not speaking with any of the fans?" Now, I am going to put a caveat on this in that we only saw the bit that it wasn't engaging, and there was some engagement, as confirmed by the dad of this kid.
Yes,
but the rest of it was a dreadful look.
It was, and it is dreadful, and it's awful, and everything that everyone said all week and from the moment it came to light. But I do think, Reese, that it's a bigger footballing issue, because it was it a week before, 10 days before, we had the Arsenal one where they were just signing for the mascot. So, and I get that players, sports teams get in the zone prior to a game. I get that, but I'm going to swear now, George. It's bullshit if you can't take 10 minutes. It won't take them 10 minutes to go through that. A high five. Hi, everyone. How are you? A couple of autographs. It's not even 10 minutes. And it means so much to children, especially. It means so much for them to just... It's a story for their life, essentially, that they'll tell from the moment it happens. They will tell at school to anyone that will listen. And I know that for a fact. And I don't know if sports teams, players need more education on this. I don't know. I don't know I don't even know if they're told not to. I don't know. But it's not a good look. And I think the fact that it always seems to be after something like this comes to light, like Arsenal and United kind of say, right, we're reaching out to these individuals now who want to put this right. I think the horse has bolted now, which is fine that you're doing something about it, but learn from it and kind of say to the players, and there comes a point where you need to engage with with fans. I don't know. Part of me understands if it's an adult. Part of me, it's the kids that break my heart. You know that's the thing that always seems to be highlighted.
Well, I did hear that Patrick Bamford tried to kick a ball to him, but he missed the ball.
But it smashed hotel lobby
I
window.
also heard that the kid tried to, Aronson put his hand out for a high five, and the kid touched him and he fell over. I heard that as well. And I
Alison's
did
out
hear that
before me.
Melier went for the high five and he completely missed it.
Flapped it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it wasn't a good look, and it always seems to be as well. I don't know what you think, Reese, but things like this only come out or really come to light when things are going bad. Is that just
I
a
think
coincidence?
I think it summarises where we're at as a club
Yeah.
at the moment. So I think you're probably right. These things only tend to come to light a bit more when we are, because it's anger as well, isn't it? In that we're performing like we are, and even then, you're still not giving a fan a 1 second moment.
Yeah.
But I think it's also 15 months prior, you had Bielsa who would jump out of a car to go see a disabled fan.
Yeah.
And he constantly talks about the fans being the most important thing, and it's just sad in terms of how far away we are from that as a club right now.
In falling away in such a short period of time is quite alarming. Really alarming.
But this question kind of nicely leads you on to this, which is that the video of the Leeds lads walking past the little kid was awful. Would you expect the Rhinos players to act differently?
I would hope so. Like I said, I would hope so. Yeah, I mean,
I think rugby league were a lot more grounded. After every game, a lot of the players stick around and are taking photos and a high fiving, and after do a lap of appreciation
in the bar, as
Yeah,
well.
and so they do that, but I just get the feeling that rugby league players in general are more grounded.
And I think, carry on. Sorry.
No, that was it really. I was just going to carry on the ramble, but I just think they're more grounded. They understand more what it means. And my favourite moment at Headingley really is after the women's game, when all the women's players come up and there's all the young girls that are coming up, and that little moment for a young girl who's probably not really watched rugby league, but to see a women's rugby league player on the pitch and watch them, like you're saying, that's massive. They'll go back to school and say all that. They'll go back to school and say, I want to play rugby league. Yeah. And it's those little moments, and that's the best moments for me at Rhinos at the moment, is when you see that part of the players engaging with the fans, especially the women players.
In terms of rugby league players and Rhinos players, and I don't mean this in any bad way, but footballers are going to be recognised more. That's just a fact. They're going to get more people wanting them because their profile's bigger, because it's the Premier League, etc. And the coverage and everything that comes with the Premier League, it's a monster in itself. So I think in terms of the Rhinos players, them being recognised wouldn't be as often. I'm guessing. So I think they'd be more appreciative in that
aren't they? They're local as well.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of them are local lads.
And I think, the majority of them are Leeds fans, so they totally get it. And I'm hoping that the club kind of breed that into them, into that, that whole Rhinos philosophy. And for years, we've seen on Twitter, on the Rhinos social media, that the club put pictures out of the players arriving and the signing autographs, and there's pictures of them arriving or videos and speaking to the fans. So they do it before the game. We know for a fact they do it before the games. We've got the evidence. They do it after the game because we see them walking around in a lap of honour, and some of them, like Reece said, will come to the front for autographs and selfies. And then in the bar, is it the long bar afterwards?
Yeah.
I've been in there, and when the players arrive, they have to walk through the bar to get to the VIP section. And I've physically seen them stop and speak to people, whether it's a child or a family or an adult. They've stopped and spoke to them. And so I do think they're more self-aware, and I'd probably back them to play their part. But just when these things come to light, it's just this week's news, isn't it? It's forgotten about. It just gets forgotten about.
It's forgotten about now.
Yeah, it's just been highlighted. What's the next question?
Tommy's question is next.
Tommy asks, well, that's Leeds United relegated. How long will it take us to get back? Reece, first of all, is that Leeds United done? And if so, how long would it take us to get back?
You're not getting 4 to 6. But the only way that we stay up is that we get out-shitted. Literally. And with Everton, that's quite possible. Forest, that's quite possible. Leicester,
But
I think Leicester will pick up points.
Forest
So
have got Southampton at home next. So if
I
they
actually
win,
think Southampton will win that, to be honest.
well, if Forest win, they're safe, aren't
Yeah. So I just,
they? So,
I think the only way we stay up is we get outshitted by another team. But no, I think we will be going down. It'd be a miracle if we stay up. It would be one of the best not avoiding relegation stories in the Premier League, I reckon, if we stay up with that running that we've got. How long will it take us to get back up? Either 1 year or 7.
yeah.
Because I really worry about the finances of the club now. In that, will the Americans want it? Will Rads want to sell because he's lost a lot of investment? We've got to pay 40 million for Kevin Augustine and whatever you call him, and that's that's 40 of our 50 million of the whatever money you call it. What do you get that money when you come down again? The repayments?
Parachute payment.
Parachute payments. That's that money gone. You're going to have to sell players. So you're going to have to be selling Sinistera. I'd be surprised if people like Tyler Adams stayed. We can get rid of some like Christensen and Aronson and stuff. The good thing is that we'll be able to breed some youngsters through. We've got Charlie Cresswell out on loan. He'll be able to play. Gelhardt will be able to play. Greenwood will be able to play.
Is it Gayabi, the midfielder?
Yeah, Gayabi, what his name is. We've got a lot of young players that we can play as a result of that. So I think it's an opportunity to sell some of Deadwood for Victor Orta. Thank God he's gone, by the way. So I think we'll either do it in a year or it'll take a full-on long-term rebuild. Because if I don't think we'll go up straight away, I am worried about the finances.
We are relegated. Make no mistake. That's been in the pipeline for quite some time.
Rhino's biggest illusionist and Leeds United's biggest pessimist.
Unfortunately, yeah. Leeds United break my heart. How long will it take us to get back, Tommy? I agree with Reese there. We are going to suffer incredibly just due to our finances. I'm not sure Radazan has got the heart to keep funding this, like Reese says. Are the 49ers interested in the championship? I don't know. I think we're going to just be left high and dry, and there'll be a fire sale of players. Because Sinistera, Nonto, Adams, even Aronson, is it? Even that diabolical bloke we just bought, what's he called?
Jorginho Rutter.
He's going to go on loan somewhere. Rodrigo. We're going to have like Bamford Ayling, Cooper, Meslier will leave. Dallas will stay, and then a couple of the kids.
Like I said, you've got Cody Drama, you've got Charlie Cresswell, Sam Greenwood, Joe Gelhardt, JB. You've got players.
There's a championship side there, make no mistake. But my biggest worry, Tommy, is the finances of the club, because I think the mission to get us here under Marcelo, yes, I'll never get over that, it was a lifetime. There'll be people listening to this now who didn't or can't even remember us in the Premier League previously because they're just not old enough. That's how long we were down here. And I think we're really, really going to suffer. I hope I'm wrong, but we are down. And
I hope we can pull a blinder with some of the players and just say, look, give us a year. Give us a year. And if we don't go up, you can go. Yeah. And the people I'd be doing that with, and it's really unlikely for one of them, but I'd do it with Nonto if we could keep him.
Nonto
in the championship,
Nonto
Tyler Adams and Somerville.
What's the other winger called? Sinistera.
Oh, Sinistera won't stay. He'll go.
You need to beg those to, even if they just give us till January. Just give us till January. Try and keep us up.
Yeah.
In the championship. Yeah, it's awful, but we're definitely relegated. I mean, if they really wanted to, Reece, we play Man City next as we record this. If they really wanted to, Reece, they could get double figures. That to me is not unrealistic. They put 7 past us last year and kind of took the foot off the gas. If they really wanted to, and Haaland were like in beast mode.
I think Haaland should be given the game off. He's got his record. He's worked really hard.
And they're playing Real Madrid.
They've got
two games against Real Madrid.
Just put your D team out, which is still a Premier League team by the sound of things.
And they'll still beat us 4-0.
Yeah.
And you're still going to win the league.
Yeah. Anyway,
Not that.
Adam Peters has said, sack Gracia and replace him with who? This is obviously sent before the new management appointment was said. Would anyone keep us up? Brendan Rodgers on a long-term deal is the answer for me. Keep up the good work. Sorry about the Leeds United question. And I'm going to include Matty's question in this because Matty's answered Adam's question without
He
knowing.
has.
Saying, Sam Allardyce is the new Leeds manager. It feels right in a wrong way. And I completely agree.
I do.
The only thing that annoys me about it, if you're going to pull the Sam Allardyce card, we should have just pulled it when we got rid of Jesse Marsh.
Yeah.
And I give
Do
you
it
what,
then.
we would have stayed up.
Similar to like when we spoke about the Selco warehouse press conference. This just feels, it's like you're not, yes, of course, Sam Allardyce is the new Leeds manager. How has this not happened before?
And the fact he can't get Sammy Lee in because he's on jury service.
Because he's on jury service. Listen, we're going down. If anything, we're going to get loads of memes from Sam Allardyce's time with us, whether it's 4 games.
He's already said he's better than Pep and Klopp, hasn't he?
Exactly. It's going to be funny. So in that gallows humour, let's just enjoy it. Let's just laugh at ourselves. As Leeds United fans, we do tend to do that better than most because we've put up with that amount of shit that we're so used to it. What was the other thing? Brendan Rodgers, I would have snapped his hand off. Would have.
He won't come now.
Yeah,
I was after. If he stayed up, it would be Brendan Rodgers or Graham Potter for me.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be
But I just
way
don't think
above what we could even dream of. You
Mm.
know, those type there, they'll get Premier League jobs, but when we go down, God knows, I don't know who.
Neil Warnock could come out for retirement again.
Yeah, who or they might even just keep out. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. It does. It felt quite poetic in that. Big Sam was finally our manager. Is that enough of Leeds United?
It's done. It is done.
Crikey.
We've got Laurie's traditional 3 questions on Twitter.
Right away.
So Laurie's first question: do tomatoes need to be in sandwiches?
No. I don't think
Do you ever have a Subway?
Yes.
Do you ever put tomato in it?
Yes.
Oh, there you go then.
All the time on every Subway sandwich, but I don't.
I wouldn't put it in. I don't put it in.
I don't put tomatoes. Yeah, I do actually. I put them in salad sandwiches, and I put them on BLTs. I'm gonna have to say yeah.
So it's a no from me, but it's a quite clear yes from you.
From me.
Laurie's second question was: has weather actually scared you?
Yes, I was on a flight from Philadelphia.
I was about to say you're landing at Leeds Bradford, but that's not possible.
No,
from Philadelphia.
No. I was flying from Philadelphia to Orlando in February 2005, 6. Anyway, so it was February, so the weather was winter-ish, and the turbulence was just. Well, first of all, when we landed in Philadelphia, it was thicker snow, like nothing I've ever seen. And when we come down to land, I'm like, I'm going to swear again here. How the fuck is this plane going to land? But they obviously just acclimatized to it. And we landed there. And then when we were going to, because it was a connecting flight, and then when we were taking off, I was thinking again how the weather was just diabolical with snow. And then as we were kind of crossing over from the snow into the tropical of Florida, it just went batshit mental, and you could see thunder, lightning, above. And I was just, it was genuinely had my head. You know, you get the tray for your dinner on the seat in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like clinging onto that with my head, thinking because the plane was just, but
bouncing.
Yeah, honestly, there were people screaming, and I was just going, I'm going to die. This is it, and I accepted it. But that was the weather, and that's the one time I've been. You ever been scared of the weather, Reece?
I've got 2 for this. I've got one in general, is that when you're on the motorway and the rain comes down that hard that you just can't see anything. Because on a motorway, you just don't know the person. When the rain's coming down that hard and you can't see, you don't know. One, if there's a car in front of you sometimes, or 2, if there's there's always a knobhead in a BMW X5 coming down the high speed, the fast lane, and whatever speed, whatever weather anyway.
Yeah.
But that just fear of not being able to see and not being, I don't like being in control, and that scares me. But again, my most scary story is a plane story. We came flying from Geneva, coming out of Geneva was really turbulent, quite bumpy, but I'm all right with that. That's fine, but bumpier than normal.
Yeah.
And we're flying into Leeds Bradford, and the pilot said, "Really windy at Leeds Bradford."
As
I heard,
always.
as always, yeah. He said, "I haven't landed there before. I'll give it a go." And I went, "Right, you will do because we've got to land."
That fills me with confidence
Yeah.
and dread.
But have you ever seen those videos where at Leeds Bradford, the plane is literally coming in sideways?
Yeah.
It was like that. And we were coming through, and a bit like you, the turbulence was that bad. And I'm not normally scared of it. I was
No.
frightened.
Yeah.
And what worked really well for me was there's a girl behind me that was just completely lost it. Really lost it. And the air stewardess swapped seats with her friend next to her. So they made her sit in her seat, and the air stewardess sat next to this girl and literally coached her through it all the way and all the sounds and everything that was happening. And I don't think the stewardess realised she was calming about the whole back of the plane because everyone was
she
going whole
speaking out
woosah
loud.
moment, like she was sorting out everyone, not just this girl. And like I was frightened, but yeah, proper sideways into Leeds Bradford. It's just
I would have
not.
I'd have been
fun.
screaming. I'd have
Yeah.
been screaming.
And Laurie's last question is: if you had to sit in a room for an hour by yourself, what one drink, book, and audio listening, must be an or, would you choose?
Well, my drink would be Iron Brew. Book. So it's just an hour. A book for an hour. I don't know.
I mean, the answer to this is the Lot Pod. I know it's not a book, but an audio. You know, you could just listen to the podcast. That's
Yeah, listening to the Lot Pod. That's the best if it's an audio book. Yeah.
My drink's different. Depending on if it's a morning, it'd be a nice oat milk latte because I do like an oat milk latte. Yeah, I'm not even lactose intolerant. I just really like oat milk. And in the evening, just have to be a nice glass of Penderyn whiskey.
Is it the barista oat milk that you drink?
Well, if I get it from a coffee shop, I do. I've got a filter coffee at home, so I just get the whatever oat milk it is. Actually, no, it wouldn't be Penderyn. It would be Macallan double gold cask whiskey in the evening.
What was your book? Sorry, did you mention a book?
A Lot Pod.
Yep, agreed. Next question is from Ian. We like Ian. He's a good lad and a contributor to the second issue of the Lot 17A fanzine, which is still available to buy on our website. Little plug there. It was ace to see Kira Bennett start for England. Start at 9 for England, sorry. Despite tough competition in that role, her consistency, reliability, and tackling remind me of Jared O'Connor. I agree with that. To what extent do you think Smith and Forsell can and do share coaching philosophies? Are we building a Leeds way across all rugby league departments, Reese?
I mean, Rob seemed pretty confident of that at the start of the season, didn't he? When we interviewed him, he said it was the strongest the rugby department he'd ever seen. It's more of a hypothetical response, really, in that I kind of hope they do work together and share stuff, and because I think it would benefit Lois, and there'd be things that Rowan's not thought of that Lois has done, or things that she's done. She's a halfback at the end of the day, and so I'd love to think they do share principles and share stuff with each other. One thing I will say about Ian, by the way, he's a massive advocate for the women's game, isn't he? Always watch it, really gets invested. He's an absolute ambassador for Leeds Rhinos women.
Yeah, up there with Mark as easily one of two that are just constantly banging that drum for the women's game. Constantly.
Yeah.
We do get questions about the women's game, but whenever we do, 9 out of 10 times it is Ian that is banging that drum. So he's a massive, massive advocate and a massive fan, and very knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than me on the women's game. To what extent, Dorothy? Well, we've had Sophie Robinson and Danica on the pod, and they've spoken about how much has changed, about how the club have swallowed up the women's side and all the teams, and they all train and get the same physios and medical. So that would help in terms of they all feel like they are part of the men's side and the big, because they know they are now Leeds Rhino. So I think that would help. I'm gonna assume that they do talk, Rowan and Lois, because if they are working together at Kirkstall, they're going to see each other. They are going to share ideas, and whether it's Lois picking Rowan's brain or Rowan picking I'm going to assume that happens, and I think they will share their own philosophies. And to be honest, I hope more so Lois. I hope she does share her opinion with Rowan on the men's side. That's what I mean. I hope she, just in a way that she says, like, have you tried this? Are you trying this? Or if Rowan explains to her a bit of a game plan or what they're trying, I hope Lois says, I've tried this how about adapt it this way? And I hope, constructive criticism, I hope it takes place, Ian. But in terms of Bennett, yeah, true superstar on his hands there.
Do you
Another
think
one.
we should do our other special announcement, as it nicely follows on from Ian's question?
It does. It's a good lead in from Ian and the women's game. We might as well announce to you now that as we record this on Wednesday, the 10th, Wednesday the 10th of May, we are pleased to announce we've got Fran Goldthorpe joining us from the women's side. How do you feel about that?
Before she jets off and betrays us to Australia?
Before she heads off to
which obviously we're actually absolutely chuffed for her, but
we are the women's NRL. People may have seen on Twitter that I did tweet to say we would love to have Fran on with us before she heads out to Australia to talk to us about her career, her time at the Rhinos, her time playing rugby league, her time playing rugby union, and take listener questions in the mailbag, the usual teammate questions, and of course, Reese playing rugby union as well, because she has represented England.
Coda, finally.
She just seems to be excel at any sport. One of those that we'll have to ask her. Could have done anything, but we are recording live on Wednesday evening as we record this at 7 p.m. We will be live on YouTube, on Twitter with Fran. So please do feel free to jump in and share your views in the live chat, and we'll kind of go ahead with those with Fran. We do believe that she's going to be another really popular guest, so we'll try and get through as many listener questions as we can. And we kind of touched on it on a recent podcast and a recent mailbag. I think getting to know Fran more and trying to get more out of Fran and all of our guests is our new angle, rather than do you remember this game? I'd rather get to know the personality and the person behind the superstar, if that makes sense. So
I want to know if his Hannah Butcher story about drinking these boxes of Budweiser after a game.
Exactly. And now she's leaving Leeds Rhino.
She can tell
us all this, can't she? But yeah, and I'm so that'll be on Wednesday. But I kind of want to keep in touch with her as a podcast. Like, it'd be great to say 6 months down the line in her NRL career,
we'll go down to Australia. Lot trip.
If we could fly out on behalf of the women's NRL and interview her there. But then
we'll go see Paul Layton in Papua New Guinea.
Yep, we can jump onto that. What was it? A container ship?
Then go to New Zealand, go watch the Warriors play, watch Sean Johnston.
Watch the Warriors, go catch up with NRL Warriors fanatics.
Yeah, then come back and watch. Then go watch Georgia Roche. So
so if anybody wants to sponsor that,
Chris,
or anyone else, but it'll be great to speak to Fran on Wednesday and then catch up with her if she's up for it, like later, and kind of say, right, how are things going out there, and she can kind of, that might not happen, but we will request it. But yeah, I kind of put the tweet out, and then we spoke, and she said, "Yeah, she'd love to do it." So it's another massive guest for us.
Two
The
final
next
questions then.
2 final questions. Go for it.
Got one from David Grant,
Yeah.
the genius behind the. I'll say the genius. I lost the competition, the Design Your Home Kit competition.
Just on that, we forgot. We
Where are
did
the
get some submissions.
Oh, we'll have to do it next one, aren't we?
We'll do it on the next mailbag. No, we won't. Yes, we will. We'll do it on the next mailbag because people have sent us in some kits. So we'll grab all them together and we'll do it on the next mailbag. Promise. Carry on, sorry.
David has asked, is there going to be a Lot Pod meetup at Magic Weekend?
Well, we have spoke about this on more than one occasion, but I am not going to the Magic Weekend because my wife reminded me that we are going to see Arctic Monkeys on the exact
You've seen them
same
plenty of times.
day. This will be the 20th time I've seen them. I got the tickets bought for me at Christmas and I completely forgot. And then Harriet's like, "Oh, Arctic Monkeys is soon." And I was like, "When is that?" And then she said it's the 3rd of June, same day as Magic. So I'm going to be in Manchester, I think it's at Heaton Park or somewhere in Manchester. So everyone's going that way and I'm going.
Well, what we will do, and I haven't told Laurie this, we'll have to do an Owl and Fleece and Loiners V meet up, won't we?
Yeah, we'll have to do a lot pod meetup without me. So yes, David, it will happen.
We will do one.
We will. It will be happening, but I will not be there. Is the answer, which I'm gutted about, to be honest, because between me and you, I'd rather be at the lot pod. It's okay. Harriet won't listen to this.
No. That's why Nessa loves this podcast, because I don't talk to her about the rugby. That's why. Final question is from Bry, and I think it's a good question to end on, as we've just ticked over the hour mark. If you could have one job in the RFL, what would it be?
What would it be, Reese? What role would you choose?
I would want to be the head of the international game development. I'd want to be the key person that was driving the international game, coming up with the right competitions at the end of the year, because I think that's where rugby league needs to grow. That's the sort of thing. The other answer would be to be the head of some sort of thing where I get getting to go in all the marketing suites and all that, and all the
head of hospitality.
Head of hospitality, yeah. We'll just get to go in all these hospitality suites for free and stuff, and
just eating and drinking and hosting people.
Yeah. Not even hosting, just sit at the table, eating nice food, watching rugby, having a bit of a drink. But no, I think for me, I want the international game to grow. So I'd love some sort of international development.
And then you could put like a calendar in place for the next 5-10 years.
I'd want to be in a position where I could design the international calendar for the next 10 years, 10, 12 years.
I'd just want to be in charge, Bry. So whatever that is, the CEO, whoever that is now, whatever that is. I don't even know what power they have. I want to be the one in charge, just so I can tell everybody that comes to me that has a stupid idea. I can say, that is a fucking stupid idea. Don't come and don't do that. Do you know what?
I know what you'd do. No, you would merge Cass, Wakey and Featherstone and then relegate them.
If I had that power,
that's the first thing you would do.
Oh God! If I had that kind of power, Reece, the game as we know it would be.
You'd be finding Morgan Knowles every week.
Unrecognisable. I'd relegate Cass, Salford, Lee, Wakey, Hull, and Hull KR. In the league, there would be.
I like KR.
No, they've gone. There'd be Catalans, Leeds, Warrington, Saints, and Wigan. Those would be the only 5 teams that would stay. I would promote Toulouse, Newcastle, another French side, along with Toulouse, and then I'd put, I can't even go into it. It'd be unrecognisable.
And this is why Eddie's application for the recent chief executive role at the RFL was successful.
No, I was thinking what I'd like to be is like the quality assurance manager. That's what I'd be. So any kind of press release, any ideas would have to be run by me. They'd have to be signed off by me. So if anyone had an idea, I'd just sit in meetings, Bry, and kind of if someone said, "Oh, we're gonna have the England press conference," I'm gonna say, "No, we're not doing that. Let's come up with another idea." I'd be the bloke who said yes or no. just quality assurance. That I think I'd be pretty good at that. That's the mailbag.
That is the mailbag.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, everybody, for engaging with us. Without the engagement, without the questions, without your thoughts and opinions, this podcast doesn't exist. So thank you very much. We will be back to review Leeds versus Salford on Sunday evening. Does that sound good, Reese? Monday evening?
We'll confirm.
We will be back to review it at some time. Thanks, everybody. See you then.